Hey guys, my name is Greg George. I wanted to send this video your way for a very specific reason. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing that you may either be considering getting your gallbladder out, or you already have gotten your gallbladder out and you are having some issues. I had the same scenario about a year ago. I had my gallbladder removed due to lack of function, basically. And I had never really had any idea about what the gallbladder did, how it worked, or reasons to or not to get it removed. And what I came to find out over the last year is some extremely painful lessons learned in the world of gallbladder removal, and recovering from gallbladder surgery. And really the things I want to tell you in this video are about my story of how it happened, and also how it might shortcut your recovery time or your process of getting better and getting back to normal life. So before I do that, I am not a doctor. This is fully just for informational purposes only. I am going to recommend a couple things that have really helped me health-wise since the last year since I got my gallbladder out, but I am not a doctor by any shape of the imagination. So just as a heads up, don't use this as medical advice. You should certainly check with your doctor for anything that you might need in terms of like recommendation or health guide. So my gallbladder situation started a few years prior to last year when I got it removed, and I was having weird sensations and feelings when I would eat like steak and burgers and anything that was potentially like hard to digest, and specifically around meats and spicy foods. And after a while, several instances where I ate steak, I ended up feeling super sick, and I didn't know why. I really just wasn't sure what to do with the whole like I eat and then 12 hours later feel like I'm still full. My body was just nauseous, and I didn't know what to do. So I finally got tired of it after a year or two of having those symptoms happen to me, and I ended up going to the doctor. The doctor did an ultrasound on me. I told him the symptoms. They did an ultrasound to look to see if I had gallstones or anything wrong with my stomach. They originally thought it might be ulcers. They treated me for ulcers, and I didn't have any ulcers. So the ulcer treatment didn't make any changes, and before you know it, I was back at the doctor. They were doing more scans, and so the first thing I want to tell you about is something called a HIDA scan. If you don't have gallstones, you still may have issues with your gallbladder. And if your doctor doesn't know this, point this out to them, tell them to do some research. But you can have a non-functioning gallbladder, and if you don't have gallstones in your gallbladder, which can cause pain as well. So speaking of the pain, if you are having issues or pain, gallbladder pain is typically under your right rib cage, like here, and sometimes radiates through your back in the same area. It can be confused with kidney pain and things like that. It can cause chest pain sometimes, but not necessarily all the time. Mine was a pretty sharp pain when I would eat certain foods. It would feel like a, kind of a knife, or somebody had their thumb shoved up into my gut there on the right side. But my doctor and I were talking about it. They couldn't really find anything through the ultrasounds, which they looked at all of my organs, and no stones. So after that, I did the HIDA scan. And what a HIDA scan is they take a small IV needle. So for you guys that don't like needles, it's not a big deal. I don't like needles either, but it was very small, very simple. They lay you down on a bed. They give you a very small dose of a nuclear tracer liquid that goes through your body. They lay you on this bed still for about 30 minutes or so in a regular like doctor's room, and they're watching on an x-ray how that nuclear tracer goes through your digestive system. And what they're checking for is how much of the nuclear tracer they inject into your IV, how much of it actually comes out of your gallbladder when it's going through. So they're measuring the function by how much comes out versus how much goes in. Me personally, I had like 5% function, so basically the tracer they put in me, hardly any of it came out. So that was the answer to my issue initially, is um, the 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 function of my gallbladder was none, pretty much. So your gallbladder controls bile within your digestive system, and it helps your body regulate the bile into your digestive tract, therefore breaking down your food, which is why I felt sick a lot when I ate, and that's why they recommended I get my gallbladder out. So fast forward a year, I've had my gallbladder out for a year. I am almost 40 years old, otherwise in really good health, and I've done a lot of homework. I've talked to a lot of people who've had gallbladder issues, and come to find out that a lot of times getting rid of your gallbladder does not always fix the issue. And if I had to do it over again, I'm pretty sure if I had just changed my diet to what I do now, that I could have saved myself the money and the frustration of the gallbladder surgery itself, because it completely changed everything about what I could eat and how I go day to day. And that's not the case for everybody. So what I'm saying is, before you jump to your doctor's recommendation, you could talk to a holistic doctor, or you could even try adjusting your diet before you actually move towards the surgery. And worst case is you realize that I really do need the surgery. Best case is you save yourself a ton of recovery time, you save yourself some money and some ridiculous heartburn and pain and like frustration. Okay, so a year later, I have come to find out a few things about this surgery. I've done a lot of research since because I think it's very interesting, and I've realized that there are some bad recommendations in the medical world about how this goes. And the first thing is, with my food situation, I used to really eat about anything. After my gallbladder, I am very limited in my eating of fatty foods. I don't eat any meat now except fish. Very rare occasion chicken or turkey, but almost always if I'm eating protein, it's fish or it's a vegan protein like a pea blend protein or something like that. Anything that is fatty or greasy or spicy, for me, dairy and eggs and gluten, although some people may say that all those are not related, since my gallbladder, my sensitivity to every one of those things has gone off the charts. If I used to eat 6 or 8 eggs a day for breakfast before my surgery. Now, if I have even a third of one egg in anything that I eat, I am sick in the bed for 6 to 10 hours. And when I say sick, I am super nauseous, sometimes lower, diarrhea and stuff like that. Feeling like I'm going to throw up. I usually don't throw up, but I feel like it, and I have to lay down, pretty much be still, watch TV, and something I'll talk about in a minute is taking some of this stuff, apple cider vinegar, saved my life, straight up. But the food part, broccoli and cauliflower, absolutely not. Spicy food, definitely not, and no dairy products for me at all. So if you're looking to circumvent surgery, try taking some or all of those things out of your diet, which is hard, but in reality, you may have to take those out anyway after your surgery. So the treatment method that I have found when I feel crappy after I've eaten something that bothers me is I will use this apple cider vinegar. I will take 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar and mix it in a cup of water about that tall. And it's got a strong taste. Drink it in couple gulps. You can do that before a meal that is going to be heavy, or after a meal if you've got like that feeling of indigestion and that kind of thing. You could do this before you have your gallbladder out, and for me, I use it probably once a week now. Even though I've had my gallbladder out, it just helps me digest the food better. So that's sort of the backstory for me. The first couple days after the surgery was not bad at all. The recovery was fine. The second day after surgery, when they do the surgery, it was laparoscopic, so they cut 2 little holes, 1 in your belly button and 2 on your little side there. But the surgery itself was nothing. And the hardest part of the whole thing was the day after, they inflate your stomach with air so they can separate your organs and get in there to like make the incisions and repairs or whatever. But they fill your abdomen with air. It's not your like bowels, but it's the empty space between your bowels. So your body and your belly is literally like a balloon, and that can't be burped up or any other way. It's in your underneath your skin, not in your organs. So the only way to get this out is to like walk, and it has to basically bleed out through your skin. So with that being said, the pain there, not gonna lie, was rough for about 12 hours. Very hard to walk, hard to breathe. I basically ended up making laps in my living room around my kitchen for an hour or two, just so I could kind of tolerate the pain. But after that was over, I was good and had no complication about surgery at all. That was the worst part of it. On a scale of 1 to 10, probably for an hour, it was like 8. Most of the time, it was 3 or 4. So after that, the food issues started, and I really had to try to figure out, like, what can I do to get back into a normal life here. Had tons of loose, digestive issues down below, some nausea, and I couldn't eat anything that I used to like. So that's when I figured out some of these food issues. Broccoli and cauliflower, by the way, crush me. I can't do it anymore. So I found through doing some research, there's a few things that I would recommend if you've had your gallbladder out that you can take that will really help get your body to work well or work better with food. And I'm going to link to these in the bottom of this video. You can go to them individually and pick them up on Amazon, or you can also read more of my story on my website, and there's a link for that below the video as well. So either way, check those out. But the links to these products are going to really help you because they're natural and organic, and they help exactly what problems are occurring in your body because of this issue. So the first one is a product called Super Digestiway. I don't have the bottle handy, I'm sorry, in front of me, but it's a white bottle. It's called Super Digestiway. The link is below in this post. And what it is, it's a combination of organic elements, peppermint, and I can't remember every ingredient in there, but there's about 12 ingredients. They're all natural, and you take one with each meal. World of difference, especially for meals like lunch and dinner, a little heavier. Just take one. It will make you feel tons better. And for me, I carry multiple Ziplocs of them, or if I'm traveling, I have a bottle of a couple different medications that work. That stays in there. At home, I have 1 or 2 bottles at all times. They're not very expensive. You can get them on Amazon in that link below, but highly, highly recommend. If you don't listen to anything I say about this video, pick those up because it will make your life much better. The other thing is ox bile. Ox bile is what it sounds like. It's the bile in powder form from an ox. And I initially saw this and I'm like, no. But what happens is when you take this capsule, I take one with my Super Digestiway at the same time, and that ox bile gets into your gut the same way regular bile would when you had your functioning gallbladder, and it helps your body naturally break that down because it's an organic animal-made product. Because it's bile, it helps your food digest, and it goes down much more naturally. That has been great, and I don't take those quite as much as the Super Digestiways, but I take them 80% of the time. Great, super, highly recommend it. Link is below for those two. And then last, I wanted to talk to you about something called intrinsic factor. And what intrinsic factor is, for me, I've always been athletic. I've always been lifting weights or running or you name it, all kinds of sports, golf, hunting, outdoors, all those things. And a few months after I had my surgery, I started to feel weak, a little bit depressed, energy very low, sleeping much more than normal. Um, couldn't really get my body and my mind back to where I felt like I was on my A game after my surgery. And I could not put my finger on what it was. I was just like in a bad funk. And what I started realizing is that when you have your gallbladder removed, in most people, from the research that I've found, it takes something called intrinsic factor out of your digestive tract and within your digestive system. Intrinsic factor is something that helps you absorb certain vitamins. And for someone without a gallbladder, absorption is huge, because if you're not breaking down your food properly, then all your food is just going through you. You don't take any of it in as nutrients. So I started with a supplement, a multivitamin through Rainbow. I'll put a link to that in the notes. But in addition to that, it doesn't have B12. Vitamin B12 is typically a deficiency in most everyone that has gallbladder removal because of the intrinsic factor issue. That being said, taking capsules of B12 typically will not work because your body is not absorbing it, like I just said. You don't have that intrinsic factor. So what you can do is, and what I have done, and it has made, I can't begin to tell you, almost immediate difference for me. This right here, it's B12, and it's a sublingual liquid. What that means is it's a drop that goes underneath your tongue, and your mouth cells absorb the B12 inside your mouth. Might sound crazy. The stuff tastes like cherries, and it is good, tastes great, and you don't have to worry about digestive tract issues and absorption. It's already done, like it's there. So all those things put together, you've got your energy back, you've got your food to digest, you've got your backup when things don't go so great, and you're really in a great position now. Everything that I've just mentioned is organic, like there's not any drugs in there. I will say that if you have a lot of nausea and your doctor has not given you Phenigrin, Phenigrin is great. It will cut the nausea down. It's also a fairly strong drug, but if they will let you have some for those times that you're just really sick, it does work great. And I have used that, especially right after my surgery when I did not have all this figured out. So just as a quick recap, and again, I'll put all this stuff below in the video, but apple cider vinegar, super digestible for just general with your meals. Ox bile with heavy meals. B12 once a day for energy. Sublingual version goes under your tongue. You absorb it in your tongue like in 30 seconds to a minute, and you can spit out the rest or swallow it. And the Rainbow multivitamins, which are organic. So the reason I made this video was to shortcut anybody who's having gallbladder issues or post-gallbladder issues with some advice that can help you get your life back together, because for me, it straight up changed everything about me, from my activities to the foods that I eat to the restaurants that I go to the way that I feel almost all the time. And I may be a harsh case. I've talked to people who had no issues. They get their gallbladder out and they're completely fine after that. But I've also talked to people who are just like me, and they're sick feeling. They have to change their world, they change their diet, and they don't know what to do. So if you are having struggles before or after gallbladder surgery, I would highly suggest you get rid of fatty foods, greasy foods, cauliflower, broccoli, spicy foods, gluten, dairy, eggs maybe. Just every person is different, but getting rid of some of those or all of those things and trying to figure out what in your diet is affecting you negatively, you can potentially help yourself and your gallbladder by just taking care of those things. If you have gallstones, maybe not be an option, but worst case scenario, you can give it a try and see. As I said before, I am not a doctor, so this is not medical advice, just helping out. if you want to read more about my story and more about my kind of history and what happened, how I got here, and how I have changed kind of from the beginning to where I am now, from where the surgery happened till now, in my diet, my activities, how I do things different, check out my website, which is linked below. And, as I said earlier, you can link to any of these products that I mentioned on Amazon. There's, I don't know, most everybody's got an Amazon account. One-click purchase, go ahead and buy each of those things that you need or feel like you want to try. And you can certainly always, with Amazon, return most everything if it doesn't work for you. So I hope this is helpful. If this video helps one person, I feel like I have done my part to better the human race here, because I know from myself there are other people out there. I've read dozens and dozens of stories of people just like myself. Nobody knows the answers. Everybody's trying to figure it out, and these things have helped me to get almost back to normal. Aside from some of the foods that I don't eat anymore. So thanks for watching this video, and if you've got any questions, you can contact me on the website. I'll do my best to respond. And if you're dealing with the surgery and the decisions, weigh your options, talk to your doctor, maybe get a second opinion or a holistic opinion, and see what your options are. And best of luck to you and all of the decisions you have to make there. But if you had your surgery, check some of these products out. I think that they will really help you in your efforts to get back to normal. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and share with your friends if they're having any issues with their gallbladder or concerns digestive-wise. Pass it along and share the word. Thanks. Have a good day.